Welcome everyone to another edition of BizzTalk Africa. Really excited for our show today. I'm our host, Jason Schuster, my co-host, Vidya Mike from Questa Solutions. And today we have Marc Roussell from Bureau Veritas, which very, very exciting. Marc, thanks for being here. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks.
And today we're discussing the topic of shaping a world of trust on the African continent. And right before we get started, we actually have quite a big audience today, which is a bit bigger than normal. If I could ask everyone in our audience who is not either myself, Vidya, or Marc, please just mute yourself so that we can get a good recording. That would be really, really helpful. Thank you so much. And Marc, if I could turn the time over to you for a couple minutes, just tell our audience who you are, a little bit about your background, and maybe another minute about Bureau Veritas and some of the exciting things that they're doing in Africa.
Thanks a lot, Jason. So my name is Marc Roussell. I'm in charge of Bureau Veritas activities in Africa. I've been working in Africa for over 12 years now, and I'm quite passionate about Africa and also about our subject, which is trust. Bureau Veritas is a leading company of testing, inspection, and certification. And that company has been created in 1828. So it's a very old company now. Bureau Veritas has 75,000 people operating in 140 countries all around the world with a total revenue of 4.6 billion euros, which is a quite big company. In Africa,
Wow.
We are operating since 1828. So some guys are in Africa, but we are in Africa for more than 120 years. It's not new. We are about 3,700 employees, active in 26 countries. And we are operating more than 50 laboratories everywhere, a bit about everywhere. So what do we do and what is our role? Our role, just to explain it in a short way, is to ensure that between products, services, infrastructure, or processes on one side, they are compliant reciprocally with local norms, regulation, or contract, especially regarding quality, health, safety, environment, and social responsibility. Let's give maybe one or two examples just to make it clearer for people. As for example, if you are a buyer and you buy 50,000 tons of bauxite from Guinea, we will be assigned by the seller and the buyer to act as a trusted third party. And what we're going to do, we're going to check that the exact quantity which is loaded on the boat, and we're going to check via sampling and testing the quality of the bauxite. So the seller and the buyer, they know what it is a transaction.
What you
and that's
sold
very
is
important because, but what you see is not enough. You need to test a bit what is inside.
Absolutely.
To know exactly what you have. What you see, yes, it's the first control, you're correct. And another example, as for example, is if a company wants to prove that they're really committed to energy saving, and maybe they're going to try to come to us to be certified with the ISO 50001, which is a certification scheme dedicated to energy management. So we are working really with mining companies, agriculture companies, but also transformation companies and also services companies like a bank or any service company. And our business is really the way we look at it, a business to society. And our mission is really to build up, to shape, that's what we say, shape a world of trust in order to make business possible, but also life better and the world better. That's a bit, in a nutshell, what we're doing.
Wow, really, really cool. I like that. So you could say that your involvement in business in general is really the business of developing trust. So that's really cool.
Yes, and I think it's very important.
Absolutely. I mean, without without trust, it's really hard to get anything done. Not to mention trying to do business in a developing world like Africa still is. I mean, Africa is still developing and has so much potential. And I know that certainly, you know, I live in the US, and I know a lot of folks who are hesitant to do business in Africa because they just don't understand the market. And so finding a way to build trust is critical for us. And again, maybe perhaps if we were a little bit closer, we would kind of see things as they really are. But you know, with that big distance between us, it's difficult sometimes.
I mean, that's a very good point. And here, as for example, if you have a project in Africa, as an investor, you want to make sure that, okay, you're gonna buy, for example, you put money in infrastructure, in a bridge. Right. Some companies, and we have the case for some projects, we are acting with the bank to follow up the execution of the construction. And here we're going to start at the very beginning to perform the review of the design, to make sure the design of the your infrastructure is correct. And then we're going to follow up the execution to make sure that your what you're buying and what is done is in line with what has been sold. And that can happen anywhere in Africa. We've got people with their boots in the ground, able to go and see what's going on. An example I like to share very often is a road. If you build up a road, at the end, you're going to see a road. But depending on the way you have built the road, after a few months, the road will be destroyed, or in 10 years will be just perfect. And here, the only way to make sure you are spending your money appropriately is to make sure that during construction, you have someone supervising and monitoring what's going on. But another point for someone based in the US is, if you want to acquire a company, acquire something, you can perform due diligence, technical due diligence. And here's the same. We can, and we do it sometimes. Huh? We can go and perform some inventory in warehouses, or just to check existing facilities.
I think no problem, Mark. Where this is really interesting, and I love hearing what you're saying, right? So if you guys were there since 1828, you know, Africa has been always, you know, based on mining because of their resources, etc., etc. But we see it as an emerging market now. You have so many different components, right? You're going to have agriculture. You have more in terms of timber. They are manufacturing different things. And some of these economies, the states, they don't actually have the same regulatory framework like some of the developed nations. So what you guys actually have, you bring best practice, world best practice into those territories to be able to make sure that you sort of secure and deliver the products that's coming out. And that's peace of mind for the people who's buying it. But for the companies that's actually doing it in Africa, it gives them, you know, that amazing little star. I always like to use the example of Amazon. Amazon when you go into Amazon to buy something, and you see 5 stars or 4 stars, you feel warm and fuzzy. You feel, okay, I can go and buy that because that trust is there. And I think, like, from a much, much bigger perspective, you guys are performing that role and giving people that sort of trust mechanism. So that will increase trade. It will increase people's comfort zone as well. But I think you're going to be able to branch out in so many different areas as developing in Africa right now.
Yeah, just I'm smiling listening to you, because just for you to let you know, as for example, for Alibaba in China, we do perform the audit of the supplier to make the stars.
Wonderful. Okay.
So one thing you don't know probably, and many people don't know, is that behind many tag or behind many rating system like the star you were just mentioning, you've got our company or one of our competitor company performing the real check. If you do a logo for bio or a logo for UTS or FSC, you always have a company like Bureau Veritas is behind with their people, checking that it's real. But it's good to see that you rely on it. But you're right, you're correct. Just to come back on your point about industry, and if Africa wants to export more products, industrial manufactured products, you do need to know the requested regulations of the country you want to export to. And here we can also act as an advisor because we have deep knowledge of any regulation about anywhere in the world because we've got people everywhere. And on top of that, you need to have, and here you're correct as well, we need to have in the country the appropriate know-how to check versus specific regulation. And here we continue, and we are continuing to develop the know-how, but also we develop little by little our testing capabilities everywhere, and also the knowledge of our local people for them to be more able to perform any check.
Fantastic.
And
so
it's good to us, for example, for
you train the local people as well. That is such a critical part, right? Because you're not only performing that sort of testing mechanism, you're actually empowering them with the ability to up their game and their standards.
Of course, I didn't mention it at the beginning, but it's important to note that out of all our employees in Africa, 99% are of Africans. They're all locals. Brilliant. We are very few expats. Huh? And one thing we are doing, we are leveraging, we've got a geographical organization, but then we've got an organization supported by business. And at country level, regional level, and then at the Africa level, we've got experts helping and training and developing the know-how of the local guys. But it's also true at worldwide level. It means in case we want to develop a new testing or a new know-how in Africa, we're going to use the leverage, all the expertise available within Bureau Veritas to train our own people. And we have started, for example, the bauxite testing in Guinea. At the beginning, we had nobody. So at the beginning, we have started with the support of BV Group to train local guys. As of today in Guinea, they are all Guinean except one from Liberia and another one from Côte d'Ivoire.
And how do you see clients' business expanding because you guys are performing this role?
First of all, if you look to, as for example, Guinea bauxite, it's a business which has been growing like hell over the past few years, huh? And it's still, they still have many projects because the demand, the minerals in Guinea is quite exceptional, not only for bauxite, but also for iron ore. It's a kind of exceptional mineral country. And here you need to have some testing and know-how to be able to export. So we are, every time you see a new mine, people are coming to BV to help them creating an independent laboratory for both, either for exploration, for the production, and the last step was the step I was mentioning at the beginning for the trade, because they need a third party to be an independent third party to certify the quantity and the quality of the stuff.
Wonderful. One of the things, one of the areas you mentioned, so mining is amazing, right? Most people would be like, yeah, you know, African mining. You mentioned healthcare.
So healthcare, we're doing not that much in healthcare. Healthcare, we do what we're trying to do this year, last year now, it has been to support due to the crisis with the COVID-19, as for example. We have set up a kind of service which is called Restart Business with BV, or Safeguard Your Business with BV, which was the aim was to help our customer to deal with the new regulations regarding COVID and to train their people and to make sure that what is in place, especially for the companies where they've got many locations. It's not that easy, first of all, to understand what is requested, and secondly, to have it in place. So as for example, in Morocco, we've been working with the Ministry of Tourism to design an e-learning platform for all the hospitality business to train them about the preventive measure for COVID. And then we've got a program of audit program to make sure that it is really in place in many locations, in specific locations.
Amazing.
And we did that with, if you go to Azalai Hotel, as for example, you can see that they've got the logo of BV, and we've been working with the Azalai Hotel, which I thanks, to design the same. And we did that worldwide in many, many, many different businesses.
That's amazing.
But also in Africa, of course, which is a way also to help a customer to deal with a new situation. As of today, we have started just a new service, which is called V-Trace, which is the purpose here is to follow up all the supply chain for the COVID vaccine, which is a big topic. So, and here we have partnered with Opten, which is one of the leading company in traceability for pharmaceutical products, in order and to mix the digital tools and usual tools with physical inspection in Africa to develop a service which is one of the concerns of our customer, which is in that case, more specifically, the health department of the Ministry of Health.
Absolutely amazing. Amazing.
Absolutely. I agree. Now, go ahead. Go ahead, Marc.
And here, the same key point is to, and I think it's a good driver for us, more and more, we need to listen more to our customer and to understand what's going on, especially in that very difficult environment, and to try to define how can we help them.
Yeah.
How can we help them to secure their transaction, to secure their supply chain, to secure maybe it can be, as you say, health risk. And that's really the way we are living our service. That's why we call that business to society, is to understand what can I bring to the table. And trust is a big thing to bring to the table.
And this is why you guys existed since the 1800s, right? Because you have been agile. You know, it's about providing a service. People need it. They not only want it, they absolutely need it. But then you have that agility. You know, you've invested in the knowledge because of COVID. You're helping customers get ready for it. The world is going to open back, but we have to open back carefully. And, you know, you guys providing that know-how and that framework in how you do it in a consistent manner is clearly critical.
Yes, and I'm going to give you another example, and I think this one, many people in Africa maybe needs to be a bit more sensitive to it. It's cybersecurity, and as of today, we have just acquired a company which is called Okara, who's joined a BV Group recently, which is dedicated to cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, you used to have the ISO 9000 for quality, but very soon, any people who want to work with you, even within Africa, will request you to be certified from a cybersecurity standpoint, because if not, you're gonna expose either their information, private information, to any potential hacker, or you're gonna maybe expose their own system, depending on the interface you have with your customer or your supplier. So cybersecurity is a new area, which is very far, as you say, from the early ages from BV, but definitely it's an area where we are investing a lot because it's going to be highly needed. And if you look to the track record last year of how many people have been hacked in 2020 and the increase in terms of hacking event in the world, it's a serious concern.
Absolutely, and it's big companies. It's not, nobody is safe. Big, small, even tech companies, you're not really safe. So being able to have that guidance, it's critical, right? And Africa is opening up a lot more. You know, they're sort of improving in terms of connectivity and networks and stuff like that. And once you have that, it's going to be so much more prevalent. So fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting to me that. Sorry, Marc. Just real quick. It's interesting to me. Cybersecurity, that investment is clearly another step towards shaping trust, though, because knowing that cybersecurity is there, makes people a lot more likely to do business, to trust. So I'm seeing a theme here. And the theme is trust. So I love it.
The theme is always the same one, and our concern is to look around us and to really identify where do we need trust. Can be some part is existing for years, and we started by the classification of the boats. We're still doing it for the big ship and all that, but we need it also now for cybersecurity, because tomorrow you are running even a small or middle-sized or big company, you have the same risk to got all your data frozen and to be ransom. So we just need to as mentioned by Vidya, if we want to continue to exist, and that's why we've been there for so many years, we need to adapt and to increase little by little where is the area of risk.
Yes, exactly. And risk changes. Risk is a very dynamic thing that changes every day. No one foresaw, a pandemic. We have risk in all sorts of areas that's still yet to hit us, because after the end of the pandemic, there's so much more financial risk that's going to come through as companies, try to recover, as economies try to recover. And you're going to have more exposure for cybersecurity, because that's another way to that criminal activity is going to happen, right? So it's very important. And data, securing your data, securing your company, all of that, very, very critical.
And now the increase we have seen over the past years as well, you didn't mention, is also the demand for traceability, to make sure that the suppliers you are using, they are complying with labor law, they are complying with the minimum standard of respect of employees, and that your behavior as a company is a good one. And here also we are looking at it, and more we will, I'm not going to disclose any new service, but we're going to look at it and to help our company and the customers and the companies to prove they are doing things properly. Because one of the issues the companies as of today is to say, okay, I pretend I do that, and I claim I do that. I'm not pretending, I claim, sorry for the English. I claim I do that, but many people are claiming. And everyone can claim whatever he wants.
And investments.
So the next issue is, yes.
Investments, a lot of investments come in because of social responsibility, ESG, all those things. But are they really doing it? How is it defined? How do you measure it? And there are no quantitative ways to measure it. To actually have a company that has studied how that framework works and how you measure it is great. And that give investors comfort, but it give customers comfort as well, because they want to know that, if you say you're doing something and you're charging me a premium for a product, we would like to know that you're actually doing it.
Yeah, so that's what Bizz. So we are starting by ourselves and we are testing it internally, but that's the point we are about to address, is to make sure and help our customer to prove that regarding ESG, they are fully compliant and they do what they claim. And as of today, I think there's a huge need there, either for their customers, from their employees, but also from their shareholders, as you say, from their investors. And here it's a new area where it's not a risk, there's a demand, but to answer the demand, you need to bring trust. You need to prove that, okay, you say that, but you walk the talk. And the best way to prove that you walk the talk is to ask a third party, like BV, which is fully independent, fully respected worldwide. Anywhere in the world you can go, we are fully respected, just to check and to say, okay, this is done, or this is not done, which is happened as well. But the people which are not doing it, usually they don't call us.
So Marc, I know we're, gosh, this 30 minutes is flying by really fast. So I'm loving how the ways that Bureau Veritas is shaping trust in Africa. What are some ways that people who want to do business in Africa can can contribute to that process, right? Obviously, using someone like Bureau Veritas as an intermediary is a very sure way for everyone to feel comfortable. But what are some things that people who want to do business in Africa can do to help build more trust? What do you think?
Bureau Veritas is here only, I would say, to prove that you walk the talk, but we are not the one walking. I mean, right. The first thing to say is to respect your commitment. So, and that's true for international companies, that's true for the African companies. If you want to build more trust in Africa, the first thing to do by any African company is to respect their words. Mm. Then, if they need to prove to someone which is not directly in capacity, which doesn't have the ability to check their words physically or themselves, then you can delegate to BV to come and to prove that they walk the talk. But the first point is be very professional, respect your commitments, and be very precise about your commitments. That will avoid a lot of mistrust or misunderstanding. And here you've got many tools for that. You've got many norms, many ISO referentials, which can help you to have a contract which is clear. Then once you walk the talk and you want to prove it, BV is there. BV is also there to help you if you need to define some good referentials or to understand a bit what is the applicable regulations. We are also there to help. Some people come to us, and quite many people come to us, by the way, just asking us what is the applicable regulations. As for example, I'm sitting in the US and I want to build up a new factory in Kenya. But the guys, very often, they just don't know what is the applicable regulations. They have knowledge about what is doable, not doable, what is acceptable in the US. And maybe they know for one state of the US what is the applicable regulations. I'm not even sure they know for all the states in the US. But they're gonna come to us to ask us what is the applicable regulation for that type of projects in Kenya. So that's the first good point. So that, okay, you start on a good track. And on the reverse, for an African company, you got an African company who are in agriculture. They want to export a product to Europe or to the US. They need to define clearly what they want to export, in which country, and then we can help them to tell them what is the applicable regulations. That's the first step. Because and people sometimes they just ignore, they don't realize they need to check properly where is what is the applicable regulations.
Yeah.
It's very unlikely the same as that in your own country.
Yes, absolutely. This is the misunderstanding of world standards, right? There is no one standard. So once you know where you're trading, it is critical to sort of understand what the requirements are and what the expectation is to be able to deliver to your clients.
Our business is a worldwide business, but at the same time, it's a very, very, very local business.
Beautiful.
Because you need to work locally and to understand locally what is expected. I come back to the example of the US. The US, you've got many things. It's not US regulations. It can be a state regulations. Some are federal regulations, but some others are only by states. It's not specific to the US. Might be the same in some other countries in the world. So absolutely. Yes, you need to be very cautious and very precise on what you do.
Absolutely.
I like that. Precision, accuracy. You build trust by doing a good job and taking the time to understand the standards. It's simple. It's not complicated, right? But I'm sure that there's still a lot of people that miss the mark, right? So
yes, and have a good behavior on top of it, because you need to be ethical, to have the good behavior, to be social, to have the good governance. So it's technical, but more and more is not only technical, it's also the way you behave.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Awesome. Well, everyone, we are right at our time. This was fantastic. And honestly, what I'm hoping, I feel like, Marc, I feel like you have so much more to share. I hope that this is maybe the beginning of many other times for you to come on and discuss, because I think that there's a lot that we can learn from you. And I know Vidi pretty well. I'm pretty sure she has a lot more questions for you. 30 minutes is never enough.
So thanks a lot,
She knows I'm right.
Thanks a lot, Vidi. And I will be happy to come back and to have a further discussion on more specific businesses or more specific topic. But I think it was a good introduction to tease people and to just to have people a bit more aware about the word trust and what does it mean in business, trust.
Absolutely.
I agree. Absolutely. Marc, again, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. And as always, Vidya, wonderful co-host. Love it. Love having you here. Yeah, we'll probably have another BizzTalk Africa here in the next week or so. And then we'll start figuring out when Marc comes back. So thanks everyone in our audience. We actually had a big audience today. This was fantastic. And hope to see everyone again soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a good one.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thanks.